Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we're talking about transformational mentorship. How do you foster resilience and adaptability in young people? I want to appreciate everyone who is online now, who's been able to join, and I want to commend us for keeping to time. So this is a monthly webinar series from Valdymas Intelligence, and we're committed to grooming transformational leaders globally. And so we have this every month, and would like you to send the link, share the link with others so that they can join as soon as possible. Even if they are not able to make this live session, this video will be uploaded onto YouTube, and they can actually take advantage of that. I want you to know that our passion at Valdymas Intelligence is transformation of the people, of the processes, of your digital platform, and your business environment. So we're keen on digital transformation and then transformational leadership of the people. We know that when the people are transformed in their hearts, they would be able to generate excellent results, operational excellence, and then strategic differentiation for organization or community excellence. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be setting into this now. I am Dr. Joshua Kolawole once again. Okay, last month we actually talked about transformational leadership and or mentorship, right? And we said transformational mentorship is a deep, purpose-driven relationship between a mentor and a mentee that goes beyond skill development to inspire holistic growth, impact, and fulfillment of destiny. And there was a crucial question that came up last month, where I asked that who will mentor the next generation, because it's a crucial question. And I said, without transformational mentorship, a generation will be lost in illusions, but with it, we're able to build a sustainable impact. And I remember re-echoing the fact that the young minds, young people of this generation keep asking the same question. Why can't I just be successful now? Why do I have to wait years to prove myself? Why do I have to be patient when others are making it overnight? And we spoke about the struggles of the young mind and the struggles of the adults to be able to meet the young mind at a mean way. So these are crucial and deep issues that comes to with mentorship. Mentorship is a process that requires patience, humility, dedication, and action. And I say true mentors don't give easy answers. They build you into a solution. So these were the recap from last month's analysis. So, but today we're going to talk about, can a generation thrive without transformational mentor? I also have another statement for you today that says, if we want to prevent a generation from fading into fantasy, fading into a world that they will create, a bubble they will create for themselves and assume that the world is how they want it to be, we will not be able to give them the clarity, the courage, and the capacity to leave a mark on the sands of time on this planet. So just imagine, I said this, if you want to travel from, let's say, Dallas to London now, you don't decide the route the pilot will take. These things have been pre-designed according to the flight plan. So when you want to become great, you move to the realm where you follow strict instructions. There are instructions that are related to greatness. At some level, you will fulfill principles. When you get to a layer, for you to move from a level of greatness to another, then you would have to follow strict instructions. So the whole idea, the whole concept is such that you're moving from what are the general theories that are being taught to basic principles that drive success, to specific principles, and then to specific instruction if you truly want to fly. So we need clarity, we need courage, we need capacity to be able to leave a mark on the sands of time. And this is what mentorship brings. I was listening to a mentor receive an award in Miami a couple of days ago, but looking at the video yesterday, and he shared that the words of Newton, that if I became great because I had the shoulders of great minds to actually sit on. I want you to note today that there's no one who becomes great on this planet without having the shoulder of another great person or great men to actually lean on so that they could see far ahead, according to the statement by Newton. So he actually said at every major company where he had worked, he had actually had a mentor who actually pulled him up, looked out for him, and is able to support him, tell him the things to learn, the things to avoid, the things to do and not to do. So I want to encourage us, everyone, let's be passionate about mentorship. Let's be passionate about looking at greater minds around us in our neighborhood, virtually or locally, that can help us become better. Navigating an increasingly uncertain, unsettled, and unstable world were the words of the Singaporean Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong. He said this few days ago when he was trying to address the impact of the tariff on his country, and that's the tariff placed by President Trump on all nations that are actually trading with them globally. There's a 10% basic tariff for everyone across the world. And he said, the truth about it is that the world is in flux. And the contours of the new realities of the economy where we are is still really in transition. And no nation, no president, no leader can actually fine-tune the clear path to take. However, the world is becoming increasingly unstable. And even the leaders of the so-called free trade empire and world are the ones who are now redefining the boundaries because of the new realities that is facing us in the 21st century. So there are two key things I would say. Whoever you are on planet Earth, adult or young, there are two things that will keep us going: resilience and adaptability. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, setbacks, stress, and adversity. That is the emotional toughness to stay. And the adaptation, the capacity to adjust to new conditions, learn new skills, and modify behaviors effectively. Three things are crucial in this adaptation. You need to be able to adapt or adjust in a new condition where you find yourself, either financially, socio-economically, physically, emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. If you find yourself in a new condition, you need to be able to adapt along this spectrum. On the other side, you must be open to learning new skills. The world has gone very global, and it's becoming a micro village because of information and communication technology. So it becomes crucial for you in this generation to pay attention to IT and learn as much of it as you can. And you must keep learning. You must keep evolving. If need be, you need to learn how to write the codes, how to lead the team that writes the codes. You need to understand how ICT is impacting your world or your field or your discipline, and then you need to adapt as rapidly as possible. Then you also need to modify your behavior effectively, because if you do not modify your behavior, you can find yourself regretting instead of advancing. So you want to set a scenario where you are emotionally tough. So going to the next slide, I want to paint a scenario for you, and I need you to get the scenario clearly. Imagine you're in a long-haul flight. My longest flight I've been airborne is about 16 hours, and I was flying with my family from Qatar, Doha, that's Doha in Qatar, to Miami in the United States. And so you can imagine at some point your pilot saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're now cruising at 35,000 feet above sea level. And we just received the weather alert from air traffic control, and our instrument is also indicating the same. There are multiple patches of turbulence ahead. They are moderate but manageable." I remember the day I was flying with my son, I think from northeast US down to Dallas. And we're in turbulence, and he kept asking me, "Why is the plane shaking?" That's turbulence. I was calm, he was uncalm. And the pilot says, "I want to assure you that we're trained for this. Our flight plan has been adjusted slightly, and we've taken every precaution to ensure a smooth passage." The truth about life is that this is the picture of the world we're living in. We are all passengers on a flight called life. A lot of times we are often unaware of the turbulence ahead. For some very smart guys, they are able to pick the signals ahead of time. For some, they are not. They just get into the turbulence and have to roll with it. And in some cases, even the very smart guys don't get to know ahead of time. So we all ran into COVID-19 turbulence. If you want to take that as a critical example. So we have a lot of global crises that has been happening to us. Tariff war is one of the things that I just mentioned. We have climate disruptions that is happening, and people wake up with earthquakes in their neighborhood, a lot of tremor. People are not even used to tremors. I have friends in California, they just tell me, look, we're used to it. So you can just imagine. We live in a world of digital overload. Mental health pressure is on the rise, and a lot of career uncertainties. I've spoken with several mentors who are actually unclear and uncertain about even their next phase, the next phase in their career. But the truth is, we cannot always change the flight path. What we can do is to equip ourselves to become steady, and sometimes even advance ourselves to a transformed state where we even become pilots ourselves, and we're able to steer through the turbulence. For some, they're able to transform themselves to become the pilots through enough resilience and adaptability. And for you, even if you're not able to be a pilot, then be that passenger in the first class business cabin, and whose choices are a lot better and conditions are better for. And that's the goal of this presentation. Just like the captain, as a person now I'm speaking to you, you need to spot changes early. That is, you need a lot of emotional awareness of your environment. I say this and it's in alignment with the words of Darwin. If you fail to scan your environment consistently, you might actually be going into extinction. And that's the state of continuous evaluation, or what we call eternal vigilance. And you know, they say eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. But the key thing here is that an organism that fails to scan its environment and understand if its business environment is still viable or not will go into extinction. So, as a critical thinker, you need to understand the spot where you are and understand the spot that is ahead of you as early as possible. You must also always communicate with yourself, with your people, with enough clarity, with enough honesty, and with calmness. There's something called emotional regulation. You don't flare up. There's something called relational intelligence, the capacity to remain calm even in the face of very, very worse odds against you. You must adapt and adjust the flight plan mid-air if possible, so you must be flexible. That's the crucial part of the willingness to unlearn and to relearn. So some of us have graduated with a skill that is extinct. You have studied a course that is no longer relevant in the new generation, and you need to retool, reskill yourself. And so this might just be another opportunity for you to make up your mind and say, okay, that data analytics, I think it's time for me to learn, and to sit down with it and learn rigorously. What's special in Python? If you sit down with it in 3 to 6 months, you will learn the basic rules. And when you learn the basic rules with more hands-on project, you will be able to keep building more capacity. Did I tell you that the 6 months is going to be easy? It won't. But it's one of the reality of adjusting your flight plan mid-air. Some of you need to learn agile project management skill. Even when you don't get to work as an agile project manager, it would help you to see the world in a newer light, and it will increase your consciousness and adaptability to scenarios, and how well you will quickly want to achieve results per time. You will want to do more things in half the time you used to do them before. And then you'll be able to annihilate or remove procrastination completely from your life. The next thing is that you must ensure that the crew is empowered and the passengers supported. That is, we must create communal support, engagement, and mentorship for ourselves. The other thing is that we must all embrace a growth mindset, just like adapting your plan mid-air and being flexible. You must be ready for continuous assessment, evaluation of your life, continuous learning. Even during and after the turbulence, you must also learn from the setback of the turbulence. So the analogy here underscores that life's turbulence requires both an internal preparedness, which is why you're listening to this today, so that you make up your mind to learn that digital marketing skill. You need to learn that social media marketing skill. You need to learn that skill that will not only help you on your job, but can also help you even personally on your own private business or any other thing you venture into, or in any community where you're serving. You need to keep learning. You need to have a list of the things, the skills you need to keep learning. I spoke with one of my mentors in Nigeria a couple of months ago, and she told me, Joshua, I'm at a point where I'm retooling and I'm upskilling. So if at her level, she's been a director for many years and she's still upskilling and trying to repackage her CV. So I wonder if I questioned myself after that conversation if I wasn't sleeping. So I want to wake you up today. If you think you're sleeping, if the last real training you've had is more than 6 months ago, then you're deeply asleep. If you learn cybersecurity, learn more. Learn to write the codes. Learn the project management side of things. Learn different areas that can actually touch people, impact projects, and that will make an employer want to pick you. You need to keep learning. You need to keep studying. Jim Rohn said that if you pick a discipline and you listen to a 2-hour video about that discipline every day for the next 5 years, imagine the number of thousands of hours of that video you would have listened to. Let's even say 2 hours for 365 days. That's almost 800 hours of lecture in that field. I doubt if a degree has that number of hours, but just imagine the number of degrees you would have in 5 years. So do not wait until you have a formal environment. You have YouTube, you have several other platforms where you can actually learn in your current core area of discipline, and you can become an expert even while seated at home. And if you now have the benefit or the advantage of enrolling in an education so that it can stamp some credibility on your knowledge, then that would be a great idea. So how do we help young minds in this generation? We have to nurture them, to empower those young minds to navigate difficulties with confidence, emerge stronger, and much like a well-prepared flight crew, guide passengers through a bumpy path. Why resilience and adaptability? I think I've spoken a lot about this already, but the parts that actually struck me, apart from the increasing global instability and crisis, is the family instability, peer pressure, and bullying of all forms that is happening in our environment. We have a lot of family redefinition, mothers raising kids alone, or fathers having to raise kids alone, or a lot of dysfunctional, disjointed forms of family structure, where each one is trying to show love to the kids as though they can raise the kids alone. The standard format of a family, barring any negative, unprepared, and unfortunate event, is that you have a mother and a father structure, where the mother gives compassion and a balanced discipline, and the father brings the discipline and the excellence for the home and the leadership for the home. Anything short of this is a redefinition of the family structure. We have increasing social media and identity confusion, which is a crucial one, seeping subtly into every part of the world. And this has degenerated the standard fabrics of integrity, of people guarding themselves with excellence. You can hardly go on social media without finding nudity. And people tend to celebrate the beauty of themselves by exposing the more precious part of themselves, male and female alike, of recent. So jumping on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all these other platforms now is becoming more deformative for the mind than it's informative to actually build that kind of community that you think you need for greatness. But as a digital marketer, you also need such platforms to be able to reach millions and millions of people, because people visit there and some even live there. And this now creates an intelligent balance for you as a person to know when to look, what to look, and how rapidly the information you're seeing is actually impacting the choices and decisions you're making. There's increasing academic pressure and career uncertainty. Employers have more expectation. My wife keeps joking with me a lot of time. They want 7 years of experience. They want 13 years of experience. Where would people get all those years of experience if you don't give them opportunity at the door? But you also have an academic system that is under pressure because it's not prepared for the rapidly evolving world. You also have communities that value flexibility and want emotionally strong individuals, but they create a system that actually can crush people's emotions. So it's like a system that wants something else and is giving something else to the people. And this is leading to a lot of mental health challenges amongst the youth, and 70% of teens report stress from school pressure. And if you read this, you see that adaptable youth are 40% more likely to succeed in dynamic careers. So I want to implore you, you probably may not be that unique person who would say, I want to hold on to a career all the days of my life. Like, we now need M-type professionals. M-type means you're a professional in like 3 different areas. not a single T-type professional that is also professional in one single area. And what I'm saying is, for example, if you study medicine now, you don't just stick with the practice of medicine as your understanding that you probably would try to be a professional in another field gradually as you're improving yourself to be a thoroughbred professional in your primary field. You also look at data analytics, you like health information, look at other areas that might not be public health related alone. It could be finance, it could be corporate governance, it could be anything, it could be leadership. You just need not stick to one field, because if you're not flexible in this new world that we'll find ourselves, you may be pushed backwards. There are 5 core pillars of adaptability and resilience, and this, if you would pick any important thing, this is the junction where I need you to actually listen and pay rapt attention at this point, please. If there's something you really want to pick away from this training, or this, if you want your hour to be worthwhile, please understand these 5 crucial things. The first one is positive and supportive relationships. I will speak more to them. The next one is sense of purpose, meaning, and identity. The third thing is emotional regulation. The fourth one is problem solving skills and self-efficacy. And the fifth one is a growth mindset. So let me jump to the first point. The first point, positive relationship. Let me at this point let you understand, you cannot run this world called life alone. Even in good times, you cannot do it alone, because you need ideas from mentors, from leaders to be able to guide you. And if you have ever found yourself at every point, go and pay attention to every crucial junction in your life where things have become better for you. You actually had a positive and supportive relationship, either from your teacher, if you paid attention well enough, who believed in you, or from someone. It could be a brother on the street. You probably didn't pay attention. A lot of us, it's our parents who gave their all, sacrificed all for us to become. And even beyond that, your parental love, you still need a teacher, you need a school principal, or an headmistress, or a leader, or someone. It could be someone in your community who just picked interest in you and pulled you up. Go and pay attention to every excellent grades and results you've had. You would have someone around you probably didn't pay attention or didn't appreciate the person enough. So I would admonish you, depending on what and who you want to become, have the supporting and trusting connections around you amongst families, friends, mentors, and community. Ensure you secure the attachment. It is your own rule to call the person, to text them, to update them on the things you're doing for yourself, to reach out on WhatsApp and drop messages and say, sir, these are the things I'm planning for the next 2 months. These are the things I've done. These are the things I'm thinking of doing. I just want to run them through you. You need people. I have people I talk to when I want to have some financial restructuring, business restructuring, career restructuring. I have multiple people I talk to. You need such, and these are people ahead of you who are done and broken several grounds. So you need to learn from their thinking, from the way they see life. You, just like I said, if you want to fly from any point to another point, you would have to trust the pilot. The pilot himself has to trust the control tower and has to trust the flight plan, the instruction that is being given. That is the same way life is. As you are leading someone you call the mentee, you need to also submit to another leader who is mentoring you. So, and this will come in different facets. It could be from the religious organization, like maybe a pastor, an imam or something, someone of excellent mind, or maybe a leader from your temple. Just imagine any form of good leader. It might be from a club and you have some leaders there who have actually broken some grounds. They are executive directors in different organizations. Just a little idea they will drop will change the direction of your life. You cannot just remain by yourself and think you can lead any great innovation. You need to submit to people. So ask yourself at this point, who is that person that I've connected with? One caring adult. And so I'm speaking to a young, and we're all young at heart. So even myself, this is what I do. You need supportive peer networks. Apart from looking ahead, you also need friends, peer, that you are probably at the same bracket of plus or minus 4 years, that they can actually support you, give you information. You need a sense of belonging in a community. You do not want to just stand alone. If you're in the if you're in the medical field, do you have an association you have joined? Do you participate actively in that association? Even though you might be a member, but you need to give yourself in. You need to attend their seminars, programs, conferences. You need to do this. You need a community. It will give you a sense of belonging, and from there you'll be able to have access easily to some mentor in your field. Then the most important one, you need having access to practical and emotional resources. Practical and emotional resources, because you do not want mentors who will tell you all is well when all is not well. In fact, I would say walk away from people who would deceive you. I know it's always easy because there's the emotional pressure around. You want people to just manage your emotions and make you feel like you're doing well. In fact, there's this joke we used to make. There's someone, I'd reached out to him the first time. He said I was doing well, and I knew I wasn't doing so well at that time. I reached out to him the second time. The third time, I stopped reaching out to him. And so later I overheard a conversation, and of course he said I probably stopped reaching out. The truth is, if you have people who are really not helping you to grow, supporting you, and telling you the factual truth, even though it's a painful reality for you, please, you might need to reevaluate them and keep them at a different arm's length, and then focus on the ones who would actually tell you the blunt truth. You need the people who tell you you need to start saving every month. You need to grow your account. You need to be able to loan money from that and put it in a course. You will go hungry at some point. You need people who will tell you those practical reality and those real truths. You need people who will tell you, okay, have you obtained an international passport? Do you have a credit card, or do you have a domiciliary account for you to do transactions in different currencies? You need people who will be able to pull you out of your comfort zone and be able to drive you to greatness. A lot of times we want to just sit back and relax and be fine in our comfort zone, but you need people who tell you, now it's time for you to buy a house. Now it's time for you to buy that land. You need people who will push you and drop those seeds of greatness into you. You will not be able to think or break out of the box sometimes, unless you have people who have broken out of the box many times, or even have scattered the box. And because they have scattered the box, it's easier for them to drop seed of how to break that box for you. And guess what? What I've realized amongst the young mind is, it is actually those kind of people that you run away from. The person that will tell you, okay, go on ChatGPT, do something this way, format it this way. This is how it is done standardly. And the pain of you having to tweak that behavior is what will make you want to run away from them. And of late, I've started noticing that unless people are employed in an organization, they probably don't even want to listen to anyone, because the mentor is not paying you. You expect them to pay you for every growth that you want to have. That is a wrong way to see life. People should not have to help you with money. In fact, you should be willing to volunteer to help them. And in the process of helping them, you become better. How did I know how to use Excel better? In my first experience or exposure to Excel, it was because I took on a project from someone that I did for free, and I had to copy from Excel to another platform. That was how I knew how to use Excel. And I had to struggle with it in the first few hours until I adapted. You will not know how to do some things if you are not willing to volunteer. You need to reach out to those mentors and ask them, I'm available in the next 2 weeks. Can I support you to do this? I will be available. I'll have some free hours. Sometimes the free hours I told them I was available at wasn't like they were really free. I had to wake up in the middle of the night to do some work for some mentors. And that's how you can break those barriers. That's how they will like you and want to invest in you. But if you just expect them to pick you randomly, you also must be enthusiastic. You must show energy. You must show intelligence. You must show joy. You should not be complaining. You should not tell them 10,000 reasons why life is difficult and mean to you. Keep those difficult and mean moments to yourself. And anytime you see them, be happy. You don't have to change your face and make them look like you need help. Once you show that kind of demeanor, you will push them away from you. So I need you to understand that keep the pains to yourself as much as possible, except when it's impacting on you. Share it with them, not with the mindset of always looking for help at all costs, because you might also use that to destroy the relationship. So be careful how you manage this positive and supportive relationship, hence you will not be the one that will destroy it, and ensure you have access to practical and emotional resources. The second one is the sense of purpose, meaning, and identity. This is crucial because identity always A clear identity is the foundation for every leader, every transformational effort that you want to do, because identity will help you know what to learn, how to learn, what to think, how to think. It's the guardrails that brings the value that you will hold dearly. If you will ever hold honesty, transparency, openness, respect, focus dearly, then it will be that you already have a sound and clear identity. So people who value honesty, who value greatness, it's because of a clear identity in their mind. The truth about it is that you are all playing the video in your head. Yes, you are all playing the video in your head. So that's why you need to be sure that the video in your mind is good. And that's why you need to minimize your exposure to videos, real-time videos now, that will not inspire you or push you or break barriers. My wife called me, I think during this week, and she was saying, come and look at this boardroom. Come and look at the picture of this boardroom. So when I saw it, it was fascinating, truly. But it's not as fascinating as some other boardrooms I've seen in recent time. So I love the fact that that's fascinating and that's breaking a barrier, but that's an identity thing. You already see yourself in a big, well-equipped, this boardroom, both the virtual and the real-time one. And that's a picture that must run in your mind. If it's not fascinating to her, I'd be questioning what she's thinking about. And that's how things should be to you. Before you get to the first class cabin of any aircraft, then you must have been thinking and ruminating about it. I had someone who says, I will break this barrier personally. I will pay for a first class on British Airways. And she did. And she said, I love the experience and I've broken a record in my mind. I've also done several record-breaking things myself. I propose that I'm going to break this because I want to sharpen this in my own lineage too. But these are a function of identity that is clear, because you want to create a clarity for yourself for greatness. You have to be able to connect your values with your passion, and especially because you're contributing something larger than yourself, and you need those experiences to be able to stand when the going gets tough. Because for you to find meaning in adversity, you must have done some things that are great for yourself. And so when the pressure of the adversity comes, those great experiences are what will keep you standing. A very popular example is David when he wanted to fight Goliath. Remember, he explained, I have killed a bear, I have killed a lion with my hand. So what you don't get is that those past results from adversity are what gives you a meaning. So I'm looking for a great job today, but I've found great jobs in the past, or any job in the past. What was the process of getting that? That is the one that will give me a meaning and identity to get the next one. And that's why you don't handle the one you have at hand carelessly. You do it with every passion, everything in your fiber, because that is the foundation of the next open door for you. So as a young mind, you're searching for purpose, for meaning, and for identity. You're not searching for money. You're not searching for quick money. You're not searching for how much can I get today. You're actually looking for meaning. So the idea is not how much do they want to pay. The much is how much thing can I learn to build my personality and become better. What skill can I gain? How can I leverage them to become better? I went to volunteer many years ago at Baylor Scott and White Health in Dallas. They have this Faith in Action initiative. And I did some volunteer leveraging my medical knowledge and skill there. And every other person around me thought maybe I'll get a job, I'll get something with them. But I left there with a book. That book has transformed my life. I found the book on the table and I asked them, please, can I pick this book? That book broke down a lot of things and I picked clarity from that book. It's a book I got jealously around me. It's not a book I can borrow anybody. But that's how instrumental life can be. A lot of times you want to get somewhere and all you are focused on is the salary, what I want to make. But why you're going there is actually because of a book. A book that you will read and it will give you clarity of your person, of your idea. The book resonated deeply with who I am and broke down a lot of barriers in my mind. And if I tell you that the clarity with which I'm speaking today, I can also connect you with several other things that happened in my life, but that book is also one crucial part of it. So a lot of times, the reason why you think you're going somewhere is something else. I've also found out that I've done a business before, and in the course of doing the business, I met a very great relationship. That person that I met today had helped me on several grounds. He had helped me to restructure my finance, had helped me to do a lot of things and to achieve some great results beyond what I could ever imagine. So a lot of times, why you are somewhere may not really be clear to you. But when you give in your best, people will speak that enthusiasm and that energy and that greatness in you, and they'll be willing to go above and beyond for you. So don't always focus on that immediate money, immediate reward. And two, don't focus on the comfort. I don't want to stretch myself. I can't go beyond this time. I can't do this. They are cheating me. Please let them cheat you. But make sure you give in your best. Life would reward that cheating. I have had to work in the middle of the night for several organizations that didn't pay me before. A couple of weeks ago, I was brought onto a project, and I still responded even beyond the hours I was given. And that has been birthing several other openings for me. I have a mind that is clear that it is not about money. It's not about the immediate reward. It's about a heart that wants to serve, that wants to give, that wants to put in a clear, and it boils down to the clarity of your identity. Because if money is what defines your identity, then you are in trouble. Especially if it is the money in your bank account that brings you joy, then you're in trouble. Because it is your capacity to remove that money from your bank account and register a course and register for a training that will actually make you become great. So it is not the presence of the money in your account. It's actually your capacity to overcome the greed of that holding that money down and investing it into something that makes you become great. And that will not come cheaply. So there's this quote I found on I don't know the platform again, and I took a snapshot sent to my wife, and it says that, my daughter, if money is the only thing that gives you happiness in a relationship, you don't need a man, you need a job. And I think that's succinct and apt enough. For young ladies, for young guys, if money is the only thing that brings you happiness in a home, in an organization, then you need to get out of that place, because you need far more than it. You need opportunities, you need connection, you need great relationships. You need wisdom, words of wisdom that will help you. You need a community to lean on. For the sake of spending too much time on that, let's jump to emotional regulation. Because you also need to understand coping skills to be able to go through these turbulent times. You need the concept of mindfulness. Clearly, calmly sitting down and thinking things through. I love driving around town in the evenings. When I drive around, I'm able to brood over everything I've done during the day, during my week, during my month, and I'm able to break down some question in my heart. So I love that art a lot. It's something I've been doing for years. I just drive around, and it brings a lot of calmness. Sometimes I also sit alone and I just want to think through scenarios. Sometimes I jot things down, I write notes, just some form of journaling. You need all these things to be able to identify and name the clear emotions that you are demonstrating. Some of us are dealing with manipulative behavior that is so devilish and evil. Some of us, if you check everything you've been saying, you like trading misinformation. You need to be careful when you notice yourself trading misinformation. You're going to destroy fabrics of relationship and society. So at every point when it's doing you like you need to go and gossip, then force yourself down the path of patience. Do not send that chat if it's a gossip. If it's not a verified information, a rumor, don't say it. And even if it's verified, must it be you that would say it? And if they ever come to tell you about something, then keep it to yourself. Don't be that chain between two people that is destroying the relationship between two people. You heard from A, you speak to B. Identify those weaknesses in the mind: greed, guilt, lust, pride. Identify these weaknesses in your heart, name those emotional imbalances, and work consciously against it. Avoid using negative words. Okay, so I have a friend that anytime we're in a thing on a project and things are getting tough, he would say, I think I'm fried. I think I'm done. I think my brain is fried now. I had to consciously try to help them to understand you can't continue to say things like this. You need to be careful the communications you speak to in difficult situations. Look, if anything happens, I'll just walk away. I'll just divorce. I will just move away. I will just go and live on my own. And over time, I just add the imperative to talk to the person to stop using words like that. Because before you know it, you're sowing seeds, and 5-10 years down the line, you will now eat a life-changing thing that will force you to divorce. You will now be crying the person divorced you, but 10 years ago, you've been sowing the seed of divorce. You only did not pay attention. So sometimes we are the ones sowing the seed of the things that eventually happen to us, and we cry about it like life is unfair to us. But the reality is, you have to be clear what you're saying, especially when pressure comes. And people say these negative things more when there's pressure. I'm in trouble. I hope my life is not scattered like this. You say words like that consistently. What do you expect to happen over years when you keep saying those words? Nigeria is terrible. In fact, it looks like the president is destroying me. Why must it be you? You can express concerns about the state of the nation, but it doesn't have to be referring negatively to you. So you have to ensure you develop healthy coping strategies that will prevent you from communicating negatively. Then the next important thing is, please, you have to be comfortable with pain. You have to be comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. It's the reality of our world now. Be comfortable when there is discomfort. Be comfortable when you don't have money in your account. Be comfortable when you have to trek to achieve something. Be comfortable when you have to walk in the middle of the night to get a result achieved. Be comfortable in uncomfortable conditions and still declare positive. I'll give you a very good example. Champions League final, some years, a team lost. I think it was AC Milan, Liverpool. And I remember the coach of Liverpool saying, we will win next year. He kept declaring positive when things were really negative against them. When you are in pain, that is the time to speak positively. That is applied optimism. That is the real hope that is backed by wisdom. And this would only happen when you have learned to manage stress effectively. So I want to urge you, when you are going through pain, it's not the time to speak ill and speak negative of yourself. A lot of us, we don't want to hear the truth. When someone is talking to you, you're always hearing they're putting me down, they're tearing me, they want to disgrace me, they want to embarrass me, they want to shame me. That's what you're hearing. What you should have listened to carefully is that what this person is saying, is it meant for my own advancement? If the answer is yes, irrespective of how they say it, where they say it, those doesn't matter. What matters is the advancement of your own life. So that in 3, 4, 5 years, when you have advanced and gotten results, the same person who has put you down will come back and tell you you are now doing exceedingly great. And you would have used the fuel of their negative words to fuel yourself and power yourself to greatness. I mentioned in one of my recent videos, failure is the fuel for success. So failure and success are needed in the journey of life. Failure is when you are in turbulence, in conflict, in crisis, that is where you get the fuel for greatness. Because someone told me or said it around me when I was just entering 100 level medicine. The person says, we will see how he will do it if he was going to graduate. And I heard such statement. I also had someone who actually confronted me and said, they said they have smuggled you into this university. Which course did they even smuggle you into? And I said, medicine. And he immediately said it himself. Wow, they didn't smuggle you into it. The fuel of people like that made me got more serious when things weren't going too well. I had to read 18 hours a day on some programs, on some postings to get an excellent result, at least to get a great result, to be able to move to the next level. You need people to tear you down, please. In fact, you need more negative criticism to fuel you to greatness than the people who say you are doing well. Because those ones would demoralize, would not make you put in enough effort. So as much as I'm saying, manage the communications around you in difficult situations, please always embrace applied optimism. The next thing is problem-solving skills and self-efficacy. Please remember that you are the first prophet of your life. You need to embrace curiosity and experimentation and lifelong learning. There's no two way about it. Every weekend for me is an opportunity to learn. I plan my weekends. In the evenings when I sit down, I'm listening to a professor of economics, professor of governance, especially with this tariff war. I'm listening to presidents and prime ministers of nations. I listen to Donald Trump. I listen to Keir Starmer. I just told you I listen to Lawrence Wong, Singaporean president. I listen to analysis on both ends. I listen to several other thought leaders, because that's the only way I can break barriers of knowledge in my mind. And I know that as a leader, I need to make critical decisions. I need to be a critical thinker. So because of that, YouTube is my best friend. I listen and listen and listen again. And the question I bring about is, if you come and tell me something now, I'll ask myself, would Mensa Otabil do the same thing? Would maybe Bishop Oyedepo do the same thing? Would, and I'm talking to you about leaders 40 years ahead of me. Would Dr. A.R. Bernard do the same thing? Would Dr. Tony Evans do the same thing? And I'm telling you about people in their 70s and above, 60s, 70s and above. Because if I can use the picture of the mindset of those people to analyze my life, that means I'm on the way to their own outstanding greatness too. There's no two way about it. If your choices are based on the people around you who are not advancing, then you should not be worried when you don't get their own transformational result too. But because I want exceeding transformation, then I understand I have to make choices. There's an alignment with the quality of mindset of great minds. So I want to know what the president is thinking and how he's thinking, and the quality of words that is coming out of his mouth, and how he's. I heard that Donald Trump stood with the New York City for 17 years to be able to erect a building, pushing through, and says that's why there are few billionaires in the world. That capacity, that staying power. After hearing something like that, do you think I will not be able to do the same thing, to challenge any system, MUC, mention any form of system, to be able to stay, to get approval too, after hearing that? And so when I get a pushback, what I would understand is Donald Trump must have gotten several pushback in 17 years. And that already prepares my mind to make solid decisions that will make me become great. And that is what you need to know. So you don't, because you have a pushback, because you want to buy something and they didn't sell it to you now, mean you now give up, you now cave in. Or you want to learn something, it's hard for you now, you now stop pursuing. You must have the staying power to pursue, to push hard. You must build confidence through mastery experiences. You must set and achieve meaningful goals every year. Year upon year, I have career goals, I have academic goals, I have things I need to learn. There was a time I just went on YouTube history and I saw that I had 5,000 hours of learning on YouTube, and it was barely half of the year already that time. Over 5,000 hours of videos that I've listened to over and over on YouTube. And it was barely half of the year that time. And I was setting conscious goals, developing problem-solving skills at system level. Don't be a selfish person trying to solve your problem at your own level alone. Any problem you want to solve, try and think about how can I solve it for not only myself, but for others in my environment. If I have to reach out for more help to solve for not only me, but for my siblings, not only me, but for my family, not only me, but for my staff, for my church member, for my community, you need to solve problem at a system level, not just a selfish, narcissistic, personal level. All right, we need to embrace growth mindset. I know for our time, I need to start speeding up, and I'm conscious about that. But I just wanted to point as many examples as possible so that it would help us. You need to believe in your ability and your intelligence, that through dedication and hard work, there's no two way about it. You need to sit down and read. You need to sit down and read. You need to sit down and read. You need dedication. You need to sit down and listen. You need to analyze. You need to think through. Sometimes you need to avoid several exposures you give yourself and sit down and learn. Dedication and hard work. You must view challenges as opportunity for learning. And that's why anyone who is around me, you will notice I will tell you, get that master's. Because I know when you go into a structured learning, you won't have a choice. You have to structure yourself and learn for that period. Especially when I found out that you are not someone who is an auto learner. Somehow, I know I have the gift of auto creating and auto learning, but not everyone seemed to have that, because I've tried to pressure people into it, and I noticed there was a lot of resistance, and I discovered maybe they are not like me, and I appreciate that. So now, to prevent me from manipulating them, the best thing is to get them into a structured program that will keep them learning. Because I've discovered that there are not people who can automatically think out of the box and say, I need this next level of learning. Some of you need to sit down with an Excel training that is 12 hours online and learn both basic, intermediate, and advanced Excel. Basic, intermediate, and advanced SQL. Basic, intermediate, and advanced Python. If that is what aligns with you, then sit down and do the learning. If it will take you 1 year to learn that 12-hour video, then it is worthwhile. But you must break that barrier. But you must be someone who is auto-learning. You auto-identify the things you don't know and how you need to learn it. And you must also understand that every point when you fail, it's an opportunity for relearning. And you must persist through difficult times. Now, to wrap up this conversation, I know that across different settings, we need to support ourselves to become great. So I listed family and mentor, friends and peer group. So in the next 5 minutes, I want to wrap up this. The role of family and mentors, role of friends and peer group, role of schools and community, political office holders or political system, religious bodies, workplace and HR leaders, role of the young. Yourself as a person, how are you measuring your progress? So at a family, friend, mentor level, of course, you need to model resilience and adaptability in daily life. Please listen actively and validate people's emotions, and also set realistic expectations and boundaries. When you achieve that small victory, push yourself to achieve a bigger one, so that you keep celebrating victories and progress. At friends level, more coding more now. As a friend, please practice active listening and emotional support to your friend, and ensure that you have a friend that is also doing the same thing for you. Ensure you challenge and correct negative self-talk and catastrophizing. People can say things that are catastrophic around them. I hope my life is not totally destroyed now. How would you say that to your whole life? So you have to prevent something like that. You need to encourage healthy risk-taking and new experiences. You need new experiences to become great. You need to travel. You need to see a new world. Creating accountability for personal growth and goals, personal growth goals. You need to celebrate each other's strength and successes. Avoid bringing people down as much as possible. But one thing that is important is you need to model vulnerability and authentic connection. You need to let people know when you're vulnerable, when things are not going the way you are, but express it in a positive light. This is what I've planned to achieve, but I'm having some struggles. Is it something you can help with? So model the vulnerable period, but let there be authentic connection. For schools, I hope we can integrate social and emotional learning into our curriculum and into maybe our leadership classes and talks. Let's ensure we provide safe spaces for expression and growth. Allow people to have a voice. And when you notice the voice is the wrong voice that is speaking, help them to correct the voice aright. Partner with parents and local organizations. Train your teachers to also be resilience mentors. Political office holders, I know a lot of time we talk about policy. They don't get to do it in most nations, and for few that are doing it, implementation then becomes a challenge, because a lot of policy implementation requires allocation of resources and excellent monitoring and evaluation. And these are major challenges that we always have with political office holders. But these are things that if you have the opportunity to speak at every forum, at any forum, talk about resilience building programs in schools and communities that will help you to build comprehensive growth and development. For religious bodies, of course, we need to provide spiritual framework for finding meaning for people during adversity. We don't do it when they're in adversity. We must have created that framework before adversity comes, so that by the time they are when the issues appear or the challenges show up, then they already have that framework established in their mind. Encourage intergenerational mentoring relationships, support families through life transitions and challenges. offer safe spaces for authentic expression, and connect youth with opportunities. Now, for HR leaders and organizational leaders or workplace, I intentionally use workplace because it could be volunteer, it could be any form. Design youth-friendly internship and apprenticeship program, implement supportive onboarding practices for young employees, ensure you build professional development, focus on soft skills and adaptability. As I'm wrapping up, for the youth, you need yourself to put in structures to measure growth, to measure progress. And the first one that I tell people about is ensure even you personally, do you have observable behavioral indicators in your life that even you can see that I am growing? An example of an indicator is YouTube sent me a pop-up that I've had 5,000 hours of learning in less than 6 months. That's a good indicator to track that you are now doing well. You may just see 5,000, but what you have consumed into your mind with 5,000 hours is more than a degree. I'm sure you know that. Other behavioral indicators. So that indicator of 5,000 hours is indicating that I have increased my learning. And that's an example that I'm trying to give to you. So your behavioral change. So for some of you, maybe you need to, let me give an example. Maybe you need to read the Bible. Let's put an example now. Maybe for the first time you made up your mind to read the New Testament. If you're able to finish it, that's an observable behavioral indicator that you have now increased your consciousness to read the scripture. For some of you, you need to do maybe 2 hours walk every 3 times a week. So if you're able to see that your watch or your phone is now counting that you're making 30,000 steps per week, that's an observable indicator that you have improved in a behavior towards a good health. For some of us, it's actually emotional balances, that you don't get annoyed at things that used to annoy you. So now you see that you're able to manage your anger properly. So you must have observable behavioral indicator. Self-reported confidence and coping. Even you yourself now see that you are better. You are now speaking more confidently amongst people because the quality of your words, the content of your speech has now increased. Remember, when you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. But sometimes when you close your mouth too, you may tell the world that you're not that smart. So you need to balance it. And that's why you need to speak when it's necessary and speak qualitatively, please. Then continuous academic and social engagement. You need social networks. You need networks with greater mind, but you need continuous academic development. Then the most and last thing that I would say is focus on long-term well-being outcomes. Don't be a short-term oriented person. Think in the long run. Think over a long period of time. We'll still continue this transformational mentorship next month. I have another dimension I want to bring into this. I want to thank you so much for listening, and open to questions at this point. Thank you. So please, if you have any question, this is the time you can type it in the chat, or you can type it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and speak up. Either one works. This is something you should listen to over and over, because there are a lot of things you thought you heard that you probably didn't hear properly now. But when you have the point to listen over and over again, it's going to bring those things to light. And the most important form of transformational journey is the one that is born out of self-discovery, self-revelation, and you're able to pick that passion from it and push yourself.